We'll reconvene the meeting, please, at 1:18, and I have somebody move that we receive agenda item 342, the project progress report, please. Councillor Peoples, you're out, sorry. Councillor Peoples, I just wanted to point out one of your idiosyncrasies. When you leave the room before lunch, you always go that way, but when you leave after lunch, you always go that way. Did you note that? I've watched this now for 18 months sitting on this side of the room. You never go through that door unless it's lunchtime, and once lunch happens, you go out on the balcony, and before that, you go out on the veranda. So
I don't know why I'm coming out here after lunch because it's still sunny out here.
that was kind of why whether you were getting your weather signals mixed up. Agenda item 342, project progress report, has been moved by Councillor Gleeson. Do I have a seconder that we received? Councillor Plum, those in favour? Carried 6. Great. With respect to this project list, is there any questions? I have a question for a completed project that's not in the list, and I don't know, there's possibly a finance element to it, so I'm going to ask now, but Jenny, it probably rests more directly with you. The pool lift, is there anything that you can update us with about on the pool lift, and do we need any significant extra money that might be required? Because I know we closed off on that, we've acquired it and installed it, but is it operational, or is there a change to what's required there? Is it consequential, is it not? Where are we at with that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, that project was actually in last year's funding, and unbeknownst at the time, there was, and I will share some photos that I have of it. Unbeknownst at the time, it was then determined, because we don't have a wet deck pool, that a ramp was required. So we had some ramp designs drawn up, and yes, it is significant, and since that ramp's been drawn up, there's been some additional works that need requiring. So yes, it has had a budget item, which the pool is wearing the costs of. So the ramp itself was in the vicinity of $6,000. We then had to modify something to do with a pump so that it wasn't sitting in water, which cost another $500 odd. And then we had to then make some ramps because the actual wheelchair part of it couldn't go on the ramp that was going into the pool. So then they had to modify the ramp that was built, and that cost us nearly another $700. So all up, it has exceeded what we were led to believe, and we have also since found out that the pump's not required because it works off the water. So we've had, the ramp was bought on recommendation from someone who works with clients that require this ramp. So we didn't realise the complexity of it, and going on information from the people who provided it, we thought it was just a matter of having something simple that put that lift on, bolts onto the pool, wheelchair goes onto it and it goes down. But there was much more found out afterwards.
And just to go back to the very first thing you said, so currently all of the extra work that's been required, you've just worn that out of the operating expenses budget for the pool. Is that going to leave you short there?
Hopefully we should be fine. And in answer to operational, no, it's not at the moment, because there's a few other things now that they've finally not working. I think we're waiting for the water part of it to be sorted.
And is it still its intention that it'll be able to be used during ordinary pool hours, or is there some element of it that gives concern for when ordinary able-bodied people are using the pool for a trip hazard, or are we confident that in fullness of time it'll be just standard operating hour usage?
To Mr. Mayor, it was bought as a portable system because yes, it is a trip hazard. Because, like I said, I'll send you the photographs. So if you see what is there, the ramp takes up the walkway. If you to take the ramp away and leave the lift in the pool, it actually takes out lane 1. And if you then fold it back once the wheelchair's in the pool, once the person is in the pool, it actually folds back and the arms of it come out over the walkway. So yes, whilst you don't want to restrict the operations of it, it is probably hazardous.
Will it be expected then that the utilisers of the lift will have to utilise the pool out of hours?
So they have quite good morning operations. So most people have gone from the pool, like once the swimming training's finished of the morning, which is by 7, the pool is fine. It can stay there and it opens till 9 o'clock. You've got those hours. Then it opens again at 2. So you've got that, 2 till 3, 3:30 before general members of the public or children would arrive. So, yeah, and it's unfortunate.
Questions further to this project list, Councillor? Alpha Gates, Damien. Where are we at there?
Mr Mayor, I'm meeting with the tourism organisation just to go off the plans and then also to pricing on certification, the size of the gates.
Maybe for a future meeting, have we got an idea in the park where they may be going to be installed? That'll depend on the size.
Yeah.
Perhaps at a future meeting, we just might be able to see just a satellite photo of where they're going to be placed, so the council has got an understanding of the location.
I think there will be. We'll have to
I think it was 12 metres wide, I think it was 12 metres high.
Did you say that again?
No, 6 metres high, I think.
What you said,
Might have been 12.
12 wide by 6 high, yeah, that's okay. I thought even 6 high is high. Anyway, happy to follow that up in the future. Will council formally receive like the drawing location though, or just a DA for it?
council as the owner of the land has. I can't be lodged without council's.
More than happy, if it helps inform the process for us to have a sneak peek at where it's intended to be prior, otherwise there's limited opportunity to move it anyway then as part of that formal process. Just I don't know, council, it's a pretty significant concept and initiative. It'd be interesting just to see where it's placed, you know, that it has the potential to be actually a good little novelty trick. Alpha doesn't really have a bull or a dinosaur or a tree or a, they don't even have the red, you know, realistically this is something that could create a little bit of point of difference, and Councillor Gleeson's already given vocal support this morning for investigating some free camping areas or enhanced access to caravan parks. So overnight stays or longer stays, so this could be the thing that makes them want to come and photo up the gate.
We've also had the tourism there with the Red Ridge and association with council with the painting of the bullets there at Settlers Park, the mural theme on there, and also the other sign as you come in from the Emerald Road, the mural there for a welcome sign in Alpha. So,
Very good.
Right there, the Damien, are those designs available?
I've got to chase them up with the tourism. They had the things.
Before. They're available.
Yep.
sure.
All right, any other projects on here? Questions for SAMAD or officers, please? Do note the installation of some concrete in a pond in the main street. Jenny, well done. Okay, nothing further? Yeah, Summit, thank you. Oh, you'll stay for the next one as well. 343. Would we go? Someone could get to the rear of the building, please. I have somebody please move agenda item 343, the Community Care Services Report be received. Councillor Hanson, seconded Councillor Plum. Those in favour? 7-0. Brett or Simon, anything to point out?
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if I previously mentioned it, but CHSP is moving to a monthly payment regime. So instead of paying us 6 monthly in advance, they'll be paying monthly. Not sure what date that's going to come in, but that will affect the cash flow.
Yet again, our local government carries the can for the state and federal governments. It's not like we're not going to get our money, but
In terms of 16 better, I haven't received any formal advice. The coordinator has received an email saying it's been extended, the program's been extended for 15 months. To indicate that that's out period. Yeah, you would just extend the contract. A new contract. But we haven't received anything formally.
further questions from councillors regarding this report? All good. Thank you. Thank you, Simon. 351, works report. No, something that we received later report. Councillor Gleeson, seconded Councillor Rogers. Those in favour? 0. Blaine.
What do you mean? There's not much there. There was just one little thing that I wanted to bring up. The actual landfill, the leachate that was to happen mid-November. There's been a slight hiccup. There's a companies in Victoria that are having trouble getting a permit to come across. We're still hoping that as soon as the borders open up, they'll be able to get do the work. It won't take 5 days to do the work. So we're still hoping that all the work will be completed by Christmas. However, that permit does not work if they can't get across, will have to be in the new year. Probably in mid-January or so. The only thing is that they've got everything in place, just the permit system was something that they couldn't get around. But anything else?
That's not bad.
Silly question, but what is the landfill cell? Does that
What is which,
look
sorry?
like? What does it look like, the landfill cell? What is it?
Oh, okay. So what that is, it's like a pump that pumps out water out of the cell, okay, and circulates it and takes out all the toxins and stuff like that. So it's a leachate system. Given that we only have correct me if I'm wrong here, rain for a few months here, and will be for that period, so the water is cleaned out. Okay. It's just a requirement by law that we need to have.
And this is what you're waiting on. This is what you're talking about?
Yeah, leachate.
We have to, that's what we have to, the water that pools at the bottom of the hole, currently have to pump it out. Separate.
So it dries us.
So that's what it's about. Our argument is that only that's a requirement, that there may be chemicals or that water that leaches in soil.
Yeah, three Ms. Mayor. Can it be opened up before the pump is installed?
It's a part of the. I'll need to take notice. I don't think so. However, I'll take notice and I'll be fine.
We may be able to open it, transfer the rubbish to the old tip. We can open the transfer station part. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
that's.
through you, Mayor. We've had discussions around this and my staff, and opening it up over or just before Christmas might create issues in relation to manning and that type of stuff. I would prefer if we did open it up after Christmas. That way we'll have staff back there and we're looking at stuff that we need to place there for the person that's going to be there, caravan or whatever it may be. So we're looking at all that type of stuff. So it's probably, it would be ideal if we can have everything ready, but I would have still liked to change the date after Christmas when everyone's back.
Leachate's probably not your only problem, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Further questions to the report?
Another question,
Please. Yeah.
yeah, Mr. Mayor again. If we are lucky enough to have some decent rain, we can, the council can put the traffic up on the main road out here. Like if we are lucky enough to get decent rain in the between here and Alright.
Through you, man. I'm hoping we won't get decent rain. That's yes. But we are working really, really close with TMR to make sure that there is access on that road, whether it be on top or on the bottom. We're working really, really hard with it. One section will be opened for a seal. So that will be ready, but the rest of it, yeah, we just need to keep a close eye on it. And I do wish we do get rain, but not right across there. So,
Not where you live.
not right.
Move it stops.
Another question, it's got nothing to do with us, has it? The closure of the Torrance Creek Road, that is on the Prairie Creek, isn't it? It's out of our review restriction.
Yeah.
Out of our control.
It's through you, Mayor, I've been liaising with PMR and we've been working together. Paul's helped me out quite a lot there as well over the weekend. And make sure that I knew about it. So yeah, that's out of our hands.
So is it still closed today?
I just had an email from Andrew and I haven't read it. He sent me photos. The photos show that it's closed. But I spoke to him yesterday and he was, what council's the one? Flinders, they're waiting on Flinders to see how long it's going to take them to re-establish that side track. So it could be 2 to 3 days. That was yesterday, so it might even be open tomorrow, but I won't know until I get the message.
Further questions? Okay, I'll have somebody move information report 361 from Damien be received. Councillor Plum, seconded Councillor Peoples, those in favour, carried 7-0. Damien?
Mr Mayor, I just want to let council know that the Rural Aid team in Alpha, and they also incorporated and did some work with a couple of the men's shed group down there in Alpha as well. And just the Frisbee Golf that's gone into the Settlers Park down there, 9 holes there. And also there was painting at our cemetery in a chair, they painted up and fixed up in that area. And also they did some work for the local hospital with painting, like upgrading a chair and painting that sort of stuff up there as well. And also the painting of the Alpha Golf Club. But I attended the Rural Aid dinner with them. And it's been, they really feel at home and they've been really privileged to come back into a good community in Alpha there. So just a bit of an update on it all.
Very good. Thank you very much for your continued liaison with them on our behalf. And also to Sergeant Brian Smith of QPS OIC Alpha. He not only was instrumental, along with Senior Constable Ricks, in receiving that successful allocation of money, but has continued to liaise quite closely with the team on their arrival out twice. 3 times really, they did the reconnaissance, didn't they? And then the two teams has come twice. Very good. The double-decker loading ramp recommission, how long?
I believe the contractor is starting this week, and I'm not sure how long it's shut down for. I think maybe just for the few days. That's all that with the safety upgrades that are going on there. So,
Anticipated that it will return to operation before Christmas.
yes.
Councillor Gleeson?
I've asked the same question before with the aerator. Is it going or is it in? What's happening with that, Damien?
Mr Mayor, yeah, we've been looking into that with the agitator, and we're coming up with some ideas. The RLO's been trying to work out what the best way is going to be to actually pump out the dip there and just see what we've actually got down there, and whether you can actually make up like a steel frame, and that once you can have a good look at it all. They've got that in the process there. Been dealing with a company down south there somewhere with those as well. Yeah, so.
Councillor Rogers, any questions?
On the ATM machines, maybe, Jericho communities now about I think at the community question,
I've received some costings, which I I'm trying to, if I can, is to actually contact another company. That's for another option. Yeah. There's been an increase in just the company that supplies or delivers the cash and that to them.
Further questions? Okay, 371. Can somebody please move all this information report? Aaron McMulliver, District Manager. Councillor Gleeson moves, Councillor Arthur seconds. Those in favour? 7-0. Paula.
Just an update on the workshop extension shed there. We received the fire hydrant plans yesterday from GBA. So, and now they're going to lodge those plans for us with QFS. So we're just waiting on QFS to agree to that. So
Did any further to the AED locations that mentioned in there within the community?
yes, so Gary, the AMBO from Aramac, he came and seen me the other day, and they're thinking one at the council office and one at the Harry Redford Centre. And the council will do the grant for the one at the showgrounds. We've already got one at the pool and one at the hotel. So I'm thinking about moving the one at the hotel out into the street, whether it goes over in front of Cut Price or somewhere that's more accessible than being locked up in the hotel.
And they're going to be stored in some sort of...
I believe you have to ring 000 and they have a code for you to get into the cabinet.
Councillors, that would be an interesting observation given our conversation last week. Last week now we did the rec plug plan, yeah, and we said about the security of them. Interesting to further advise perhaps to, as we discussed whether we had one out there and there was concern over theft.
Yeah.
But if there's a way to secure them and still have relevant ease of access for efficiency. What are we doing, Jericho? Is there still one available there? They ever, sorry, I'll rephrase that. Did they ever become available there?
So that's one. I'm not sure. Tourism group looking at some as well. Jericho.
Oh, anyway, all good. Anything else from your report? Or any questions for Paul? Sorry, did you have anything? Further questions? In that case, I'll go to agenda item 372. Paul, would you like to speak to your recommendation?
So after the last council meeting, I spoke to tenderer, the unsuccessful tenderer, and she agreed that she would pay the amount owing to council straight away because she really felt like she wants to purchase this block of land because it's neighbours her existing block. So yeah, she came in last week and paid all monies owing to council and submitted another offer to council.
Councillors, the recommendation is that we agree to sell for 4,000. Councillor Peebles.
I move the recommendation.
Second it. Councillor Hanson. Discussion. Put it to the vote. Those in favour? Carried. 7-0. 373. Aramac Showground amenities. Paul, would you like to speak to your recommendation?
Should we put this showgrounds amenities block out in 2019-20 and received a good sum of money for it at that point. Council agreed not to go ahead with that tender, so we put it out again. We didn't receive anything by the close of tender date, but I did have a late application there for $5,000 from some local people. Yeah, I guess it just depends on whether council can see the benefit in removing that building or they prefer to leave it there.
Paula, do you see it operationally as providing you a benefit that's not there in terms of space utilisation?
I think if it's removed and or once all the other buildings are removed too, it'll just open that space up and we can do a bit more with it.
In terms of green space or extra
Yeah.
camping?
Green space and potentially some camping because it's bitumen area there in the wet. Some people do park in there. One of the mushrooms is rather close there. They can hook in there if they have to.
Okay. Councillors, commentary?
I think it's better there's some of the feedback that cost of the room.
No, I didn't say that.
So some of the feedback from vendors were that it's substantial cost. Costs.
Councillors, are in your hands.
Happy to move the recommendation.
Moved. Excuse me. Been seconded by Councillor Plum. I'm not going to debate. You want a second to it, though? Is that what you're putting your hand up for?
I'm putting my hand up to speak.
Okay, so I've got a mover of the resolution. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Gleeson seconds. Now, Councillor Plum.
Do we have a right to know where this building is going to go?
All we've asked in the tender documents, Paula, is what?
That it's removed and the site be left clean and tidy.
I would suggest the answer to your question, and that is no.
Just wondered where they were going to take it to, whether they have a block in town that they want to put it on.
No, I believe it's going out of town.
Councillor Gleeson.
Through Mr Mayor, when a building like this is for sale and removal, is when they're finished, is a complete removal, remove the stumps, remove the pipes, remove everything, it's the council finish up with a nice clean bit of air?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. So the council will disconnect all water and sewage and then it's up to whoever's removing it to make sure the stumps, everything is gone, so we'll have a clear path.
We've got a clear path. The council hasn't got to go back in there on Monday morning and spend another week's worth. Okay.
Councillor Arthur. Give your hand up.
It was more so, Mr Mayor, I think for council to do anything with the building, it's not worth the money to put into it, so the best we can do is take the $5,000 and have it removed.
Pickles, do I see your hand? Councillor, somebody else meant to speak then, I thought, after Councillor Plum. Councillor Rogers, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I just think that the money that we would have to put into the building, I went there a while back and I walk around on the timbers half rotten, like it's not worth putting up.
Just before I continue the debate here, is there anything that we need, if councils have a mind to support Councillor Rogers and Gleeson's motion here? Because the tenders were late, do we have to formally resolve to accept it? Being a late tender, is there any wording we have to put around that? Or what? Are we in order receiving a late tender? Is that at council's discretion?
It's already been to tender. It's already been to tender.
Right, so that, okay. Fair enough. But I suppose what you're saying there is we probably didn't actually need to even go to tender this time. We could have sold privately if there was an offer. Okay. Online from 19,000. Anyone else wish to speak to the motion, for or against? Those in favour? Sorry.
there any interest from those that did tender last time, Paul?
I contacted them. These ones were the third tenderer last time. I contacted the highest bidder. They went and had another look at it and they just said no, they weren't interested.
There's another bidder too, wasn't there, last time?
Oh, they had 2 bids in. The top tenderer, they had the first 2 bids. And I did have 2 other people inquire from properties and they never submitted a tender.
So you think this is going to a property, do you?
Yeah, I believe so.
Any further debate? Those in favour? 7-0. Carried. Councillor Pickles, your declaration of the PCI was with respect to the rec park.
Yeah.
Are there other items of this report that you may like to? Would you like to stay in the room for the rest of the report?
No, I don't think it's definitely.
Can I somebody move agenda item 381, please, C? Councillor Gleeson, second Councillor Rogers, those in favour, 0. Jenny?
Just with the projects, the pathway at the pavilion was scheduled to commence this week, but with rain there's water lying there, so that is, we're hoping that will be done for the next race meeting, so that's weather dependent. Village green lighting, we're going to have to recall that. We haven't been able to get anyone to come forward to give us anything for that. Globe Tower, the project managers are on site today. Hopefully we'll get down and do a site visit in the morning. The rec park, I can confirm that the hydromulch has been, we have put in an order for that work to be carried out, and plans are, we have quotes for plans and they're going to be ordered. The Tree of Knowledge streetscaping, had a call from the people doing that. They have 1 tree ready for us, so I've got to try and bring them again tomorrow to confirm, but hopefully myself and another staff member are going to go around and have a look at that. They just want to make sure that it's what we want before they produce the others, so we're a bit excited about that. And apart from that, and the swimming pool, as I say, we're unsuccessful, so I'm just waiting to be able to meet with someone who can actually give me the required information I need for filtration plan option. And the meeting with the Year 10 students at the Year 10 geography students at the rec park was really good. There were some very good questions answered. I hope I did the response I gave justice, but there was a very good flyer that they'd already had access to anyway, so all the information they were really looking for was on that. So, yeah.
Questions? Jenny?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor?
Probably should know about it, but the village green lighting, what sort of lighting? What is it?
Well, it's just to, it's to light up that area that's quite dark, and I have noticed that the lights on the railway platform are on quite regularly, so it's probably not as dark, but it's the closest to the when the business is there. It's very dark under those trees, so they want lighting there for functions that they have there at night time. On the eastern end, down near the memorial and from the railway, that is quite well lit. We don't need anything there, but so we got no responses on vendor panel. We then went out to a contractor directly and we have followed up, so we're just going to put it back out to vendor panel. Yeah. So they're having trouble getting interest in it. We sort of picked some ideas of lights we'd like there. So.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think it was last year, they had a little Christmas, and some of the street lighting was out and it was really dark.
Yes, Smith, that was correct. It's a street lighting directly there.
Yeah.
So if they're on, it's not so bad. But
if there's an issue with those.
for some reason, the one that needed to be on the step out right there. But it hasn't been an issue in the past, it was just that.
So you're looking for all types of ideas, you know, some sort of solar system lighting or electrical lighting, because every power lines there somewhere. Be reasonably expensive.
To you, Mr Mayor, there's a power box right there at the back of the building, which you could hook into. The only concerns we had about solar, because solar was an option we obviously looked at, there's a lot of shady trees, so it's not going to get the sunlight to power the solar.
Mr. Mr. Mayor, have we actually asked anyone like a double light in those main streets? That's a possibility, they could just increase their light and pay for the
We'll be asked to pay for theirs too.
I was going to say, through you, Mr Mayor, councils actually pay for street lighting.
Yeah, we pay for all of that.
So,
I suppose what you were looking at here is specialised sort of theme lighting that'll highlight, illuminate the tree, but also like trees and provide extra and make a bit of street appeal there as well. It's just not simply seeing when you're walking.
that's correct, Mr Mayor, yeah. So we've sort of, there's some lovely options in light fittings out there, like.
Roma, has anyone been down the main street of Roma? Done an amazing job lighting the trees up. Roma, it's incredible. Cost would have been horrendous, but the effect is nothing short of. It's like, has everybody seen it or not?
Yeah, Mr Mayor.
You have. It's really totally changed the dynamic of the main street at night. It's got like a outdoor, people walk there, whereas before it was really dark and gloomy and oppressive, whereas it's a really relaxed, friendly atmosphere there now. But I mean, it would have cost horrendous amounts of money. But they did the whole street. We're only talking a certain area here, so. Yeah,
It's a good street.
the fairy lights around the trees.
And through you, Mr Mayor, Whitton's Main Street have got similar, they've got the main street lighting, but then they've got runs of festoon lighting.
Just two. Sucks if there were trees in Whitton.
To you, Mr Mayor, East Street in Northampton is the same.
Yes.
And I think it is James Street down in Newmarket, New Farm. It's got a lot of eateries there. I'd love to know what they use on their trees because it looks amazing. They're probably electric, I don't know. But it just
If
has
it's
this
in
great
New Farm,
feel
it'll have
about
to be
it.
sold here. If it's in New Farm, it'll have to be sold here.
It is quite a
Like it is in-
nice little area, yeah, but the street is amazing. Really good at night time. Must be there because I go to New Farm Park, so that's what I see.
Okay, other questions, please, councillors? Plum first, then please. Then Rogers.
Any sort of be over the moon that something's happened to the pond. But in saying that, still will be oiled.
Really, Mr Mayor, yes, a staff member did oil that, and unfortunately, I don't know how we can stop it. To me, I think it's authentic. I don't live with it, but
To me, it's rating.
yeah. And look,
It is authentic, you are right.
unfortunately, I don't know windmills. But like we have had all the oils changed, done by a windmill expert who is now no longer in business. But yeah, and I think with the new blades on it, it just makes it go and has probably accentuated that. So yes, we are looking at all options, but a staff member did do it for us just the other day. So I haven't heard since. I will confirm what day he did it.
And but now the pond's been configured, is that where you're going to try to be?
Really, Mr Mayor, yes, and I'm also going to have that discussion. I've spoken initially to the people who are doing the trees about some options and ideas I've got in mind, so that they can.
Councillor Gleeson.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I just want to ask a question about the rec park. The, couple of things. All the trees and plants and whatever we planted on the island, everybody planted on the islands, what sort of percentage did grow or were growing? They're coming along okay, in your opinion? Or?
Through Mr. Mayor, the acting CEO paddled across there 4 weeks ago, because concerns were raised that plants may not be alive up there, and he captured some very nice photos of what's surviving. You might like to speak to what he saw down there.
Yeah, so I did paddle across and
Dog paddle or boat paddle?
oh, stand-up paddleboard, very good. And they're, I'd say, percent viable. Bulrushes have taken over around wherever his spray is. They're unbelievable because they're not in the water or near the water, right up the top of the island.
Bulrushes.
But then if they're going to grow naturally, do we just grow? I don't know. We need to make a decision fairly soon on what we do with them. Whether we
They'll
poison
take
them.
over. They'll take over and
I'll take over the whole area.
months.
So I've got photos I can show you. Some of the little plants are flowering and the vines are spreading significantly. There's obviously sections that didn't get watered. I didn't walk right to the end. I really did. Because the ground was so wet from like soil and you try and, like walking. Major effort.
It's not wet at Councillor Gleeson's place, so we might not be familiar
Oh.
with that slide.
It will be one day, if I live long enough. My other question was the quote for the hydro mulch. We were discussing that the other day at a rec park meeting. The hydro mulch. Yeah, can you explain to me and others, if you don't mind, what was there, please, Sue?
Through Mr. Mayor, we went back to the people that were in contact with initially. We asked for 2 types of grasses to be included. We went back to them and there is now only 1 type of grass. The biggest expense is the setting up. The cost of the grasses came down significantly. Do you want, it was about 30,000 after GST.
Is that, sorry for butting in, but is that slight, just a little bit on the inside and the outside, like we discussed the other day, of the whole interior, or?
That's for the same area, the 14,000 square metres, so it's up to us where we
That's
place it.
14,000 square metres, so you can divide that with 7 in, 7 out.
Mr. I think the most important part is the bank, because after that rain the other day, you can actually see, and someone sent us photos of rivulets and the erosion happening. So on that meeting that day, I thought it was determined that they were going to seed on the inside.
That was what I took out of that as well. Scratch it, seed on the inside.
Yeah, because I don't know how the hydromulch works, but getting in there.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask another question,
You
please?
can ask 25 more if you like, Councillor Gleeson.
One more question. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to both Damien and Jenny. Bingo voting, because of the user pay, did we notice a huge down drop in the numbers of persons?
Were you only interested in Alpha and Buckholland, or is it okay if we direct that question to Paula as well?
Excuse me, sorry. Sorry,
So who's going first?
Mr.
Damien?
Mayor, I think it was, from what the RLO said, the uptake on it. The area there, so.
Paula?
I haven't noticed any bills at all, Mr Mayor, to take effect, so.
Mr Mayor, in the Barcaldine area, I haven't seen any bills either. I confirm I have seen Alpha and payment being made, so.
Okay, so we're not going to necessarily immediately jump to the conclusion that no one through 1088 in Barcaldine Alpha or Aramac or Munnabara, but it is a possibility.
No,
That's
they
what we-
definitely paid it, Mr Mayor.
Oh, they did bait. Okay, right, sorry. So we just haven't yet seen it. We might throw that into what will be our council information requests section at the end. If you don't, so question with notice, we can just look at what effect, with what our comparative numbers of baiting were in our 3 regions, please.
What question?
You've got 24 left.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. No, that's, officers are grateful for your questions. It shows that people are interested in the work they do. I think, Councillor Rogers, you had your hand up, or were you only cleaning your glasses?
No.
Nothing? You were just cleaning your glasses. Very good. I've been told that I don't observe the Deputy Mayor often enough and miss her questions, but anything further before we move to 382? Somebody please back to Councillor Peoples.
Can I go this way?
Yeah.
You turn.
Come inside, Angela, yeah, please.
Do you want engine as well?
Yeah, it's much more comfortable. There's a seat here.
There's a
Actually, on the basis that this is possibly also relevant, Jenny, to Angela's role anyway, perhaps I'm not sure. It's your report, but. Right. Jenny, would you like me to start here and then you to go on? Because this initially came via a meeting with the President of Rotary to myself, and then I passed all of it across, and there's subsequent discussions, I believe, between yourself. So the chair of the then new Rotary Club of Bark called and met with me a number of months ago regarding their intention to host a Christmas street party, and he outlined their intent to incorporate a street party along with utilising Workers' Heritage Centre grounds, various activities, some stalls. They needed assistance. The very first thing that I was asked to look into was with closure of streets, to physically have a street party, providing some generators for electricity supply for lighting predominantly, but electricity none the same for the vendors and the market area or the public area. Then I was also, then there was also a request made to Christmasify Main Street with some decorations, and some really good ideas were pitched around how we could potentially dress up the windmill. But I did indicate, so my indication was, well, as far as running events, council's got a policy how we do that. Christmas donations, the Christmas decorations was something that had been discussed in our budget process, and there wasn't considerable, if any, money at all around for that this year. But the provisions or ability to access some tables and chairs and some generators was something that certainly council could look at. And with respect to the road closure, I went as far as to say, well, we can do it, we just got to look at the impact of TMR Street, as is the case intersection. So I then took the notes and forwarded them to the CEO, who then asked the situation over to the district manager, and there's been a couple of request forms for and then discussions. So Jenny, over to you now to move on how that's materialised into your report.
Ms. Mayor, so there were no requests for donations, there were just emails backwards and forwards. So we sent out the forms for the request for donation, what equipment they wanted to hire. And you'll also see in that report, they don't have public liability cover, they wanted to know about using councils. In the emails that came through, they sort of were saying they need staff to set up on the Saturday, pull down on the Sunday. And since the report was done, we have also received an email saying that a traffic management plan has been provided for them, been given to them by the local engineering firm. So from there, that would also inquire people that are rightly ticketed to actually put up and do those signage. Have not responded to that email yet. It came to the acting CEO and myself. Haven't responded to that yet. So I've made allowances for all those costs in this report, simply so that it could come up to us what is being asked of if it was all to be donated. So the figure that I picked that was put in there about a donation request is based purely on what was given in the past to committees that was budgeted for Christmas parties.
You could probably start at the bottom first here, public liability insurance. That's something that every event is required to have. The precedent that we would establish, in my personal opinion, by seeking, even if we can, and that's a big if, the open answer, even if we could assign our liability over to a third party, which I doubt, but even if we could, then every club that runs an event on any one of our facilities would have due claim to using our public liability once we establish the precedent. I just don't see how. That certainly wasn't a request made to me. I would instantly suggested to the chairperson that not continue. Because it would be double standard. We're requesting our community group to hire our facilities, lease our facilities, to provide us with their own public liability for the period of time they're covered by. If you hire any of our events, even in a private capacity, you have to have that covered. So, councillors or Brett?
Yeah,
Can we
I
assign?
don't believe you can think.
We were the organisers of the event, it would be different. So, councillors, with your permission, we'll outline. No, councillor Clark.
Mr. Mayor, that's why we don't have markets in the village green, because of the public liability insurance that the organisers couldn't. That's why they went the way they went. They could do it, but all the people, like the overshadowing body that wanted to do that, couldn't afford this insurance, and that's why.
Right, so public liability?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, so it's in the main street or in this part of Main Street?
Yeah.
In front of?
And around through the back into the Workers' Heritage Zone. Definitely not in the main street. Unless that's changed.
Mr. Mayor, no, that they definitely want it from Beach Street.
Yeah, but not the main street.
No.
No, but they want the intersection closed right at.
Beach Street, because their intention is they want to do a lighting of the windmill for a Christmas tree. Mr. Mayor, this conversation started quite some time back with another member that was on Rotary. And the suggestion was that, just doing that little cul-de-sac, which would make it a lot easier. And until you forwarded that information, we sort of thought that was how it was going to go. That lady's not there at the moment, so yeah.
Is it from the news agency back this
Yeah.
way?
Yes. and then into the cul-de-sac, and then on into the Heritage Centre.
Closing the roundabout. So it's 3 intersections closed. It's 3. It's closing the whole roundabout off from road traffic and Beach and Oak. With the, get it right? What do you call it? Box.
And
With the feature, with the feature being lights on the windmill. See people running across the main road, getting photos taken under the windmill.
previously, that is my belief.
Getting back to the public liability, Mr. Mayor, no.
Anyone's no contrary opinion to that? No one wishes to amend the resolution to include seeking permission to extend our liability insurance? Right, so it's gone, so then working up. So, Jenny, what you've proposed here is that we offer them $2,000 and that can be made up of the value of in-kind or cash. That's what you're suggesting. So, for example, if I pick that the tables, chairs and generators come to $1,827.40, so we could give them, in inverted commas, that and then another $130 worth of stuff on top of that. That's what you're suggesting.
You, Mr. Mayor, sorry, I should have made my intention clear. I was thinking a cash donation of $2,000, and it is very miss of me. There is one thing I did miss against those generators. We would have to also, there would be a cost involved to get that from another. We only have one.
Do they need two, do they?
We've got, we have power outlets that come off it, so those portable power outlets that come off them, and there's quite a lot of them, outlets available on those, so I'm not sure, do they want them in different locations is the only thing I could think of. We could cut that back to one, that would be a lot easier.
So, okay, so it's $2,000 cash and equipment hire separate to that.
Yeah.
So it would like in-kind equipment
In-kind,
hire. Okay,
yes.
all right, yep.
So really it's in kind plus the cash is about 16,800.
No,
No.
No?
I don't think the district manager's suggesting the staff in that, are you?
Three, Mr. Mayor, no. If I'm not suggesting that we go with the total request. I should have said that it was cash and maybe the table and chair hire. My apologies. I was just looking at $2,000 cash initially.
So you're not recommending the cash donation for Christmas tree decorations or the staff to set up and remove, which is $3,000, $13,000. So, and you're leaving it at councillors' discretion whether they want to include the equipment hire or not on top of, with or as a part of your 2,000. Is that right?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
So the officer's recommendation is not to proceed with the $10,000 cash. It's up at your discretion if you want, how you want to handle the equipment hire request, and to not include staff set up costs $3,000. So the recommendation's on the floor, on the table. Councillors, we're in your hands. Move, amend, alter. Are there any other Christmas party type things planned that you're aware of by other groups? You know, public events like this?
Mr. Mayor, the only one is the annual Catholic Fair, which they approached us for the same situation about closing off Beach Street from Ash to Elm, but they came up with an alternative and moved it to their own, a site of their own.
But we had indicated to them that we were happy to help with this street here, wouldn't we? Yeah.
And again, working with the Director of Works is where we came up with what it would cost, because it is a big ask to ask employees to set up in the afternoon and then stay around till midnight or wherever it finishes to pull down. It means they can't enjoy the evening.
The possible difference about this is you could leave it closed overnight. But TMR are not going to want that intersection closed longer than an event's being held.
For you, Mr. Mayor, with their showgrounds facilities over there, wouldn't it be easy to go there? You don't have to close streets, you don't have to bring in generators, you don't have to cut tables and chairs everywhere.
Just before we go that point, and I guess the showground's already booked that day for another event. I believe it is. The council Gleeson might be able to speak to that.
Be part of.
There's another event there.
There is another event there, but the two events should work very well together. But there is another event, the Barrels for a Cause have got that Kent Arena for people. That area, but definitely not this side.
Councillor Plum?
Mr Mayor, we have been to the show, but I don't think it has the same atmosphere at the showgrounds. We've been to showgrounds and it hasn't had the same atmosphere. I think people wanted to come back so they could walk to the event, not have to drive and then leave the car. In this area, it was more of an atmosphere.
There is town park. Refers. Parking.
I'm not aware of it.
Members or
I'm not familiar with an issue there. I do know that the Catholic Fair Committee, in correspondence to myself and Jenny, indicated some concern from a COVID-safe planning point of view about entry and exit points. I believe my reading of that now, Jenny, is that that's no longer required to have separate entry and exit points, just so long as people check into a facility, they don't have to enter and leave at different points. So that the issue that was raised by that committee, I believe, has been negated. I do know, and so I had a quite lengthy meeting with the chairperson of Rotary, and they were quite keen for a street party as their intent. And would a compromise be that we could close the cul-de-sac in work hours on a Friday and leave it closed for the duration of the weekend so that we don't need staff just the cul-de-sac area? If we've got, does that, what impact would that have if we had a temporary closure for, say, 48 hours of the street?
Excuse me, that was probably the way we were thinking. In the absence of the committee member that was negotiating all that, it changed with the visit itself.
Obviously, we can't leave Beach Street temporarily closed, but I mean, I'm thinking in terms of impact on the business, which is the post office. They don't. I'm going to read. They trade Saturday. They don't. So we're not taking car park away from a trading business if we were to close it late, towards the end of work hours on a Friday and remove. We come to work before they open. So is that a possibility to try and find some common? May not be exactly what chairperson of Rotary has asked for, but is it a solution that might find some middle ground? Councillor, please.
Mr Mayor, I'm pretty positive that if you and I were doing that at midnight on Friday night or Saturday night, whenever the function was, that you and I and Colin and Dan would run around and pick the signs up and put them in the back of our ute or lean them up against the fence at no cost to the council, at no cost to anybody in the street to go. We'd go around and clean up our own mess. We've done it before in our own areas. We clean our own mess. We wouldn't be running to the council, asking the council. We'd ask the council to close it. We wouldn't be asking the council to hang around until we open it. We would go and do that ourselves.
Is there any problem with if that was to occur?
Thank you, Mayor. Probably a couple. And these are technicalities. The actual signs that are put out, they're going to be put out by persons that are sort of not to do that.
Yeah. What about to pull down though?
Pull down. doesn't certify to pulling down because you have to pull them down in certain sequences, okay, and it depends what it is. Now, that's one issue, and then you might have an IR issue.
We've so
Wow.
industrial relations because we're taking away a council staff member's job.
So it's a perfect solution, but these are the two things that would.
Can Mr Mayor minimise the cost by, as councillor said, is that we have a staff member who pulls them down and puts them on, leave them there. We still have to employ someone. Traffic management. That rather than cut everything back to that night, we've done the past weekend.
I'm not usually very insistent about my own opinion, but just can I revisit my suggestion? Does it need to be pulled down at all? Why couldn't we just close the cul-de-sac and leave it closed for 48 hours? We could put up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock on Friday, although I'll bet you that the third's an RDO. Can somebody check that for me?
Mr Mayor, we have a staff member in our office who is property ticketed,
Okay.
and I assisted when we were turning and doing all the signs for road closure for the Bush Council.
Yeah.
So and the person who was doing it, knows the rules, so I was just climbing the ladder and turning the signs around. So, you know, if we have staff members in the office, we can close it so that it's not closed before 5 o'clock, so that the post office access is still there.
Yeah. And then we can leave it there. Is it like a detrimental impact to the community at all for it to remain in closed state until 7 o'clock Monday morning?
Mr Mayor, I don't believe so, but I'm happy to put down road closed signs because they're not the same. It's not the same strict signage.
I'm just trying to. I appreciate that there's a significant element of what the club's proposed here that has a significant expense attached to it, but I'm very mindful that they are trying to put on a community event. Yes, I know the Catholic Fair is a similar style of event, but it is different. This is a new organisation. I think the district manager's gone to a great deal of trouble here with providing what I believe to be a prudent financial and precedent, with regard to precedent, a good recommendation, and I'm actually in full support of it, on the proviso that we can offer, and club may very flatly deny or reject that that's suitable, and they may choose to make alternative arrangements, but I think I'd like to at least offer that the cul-de-sac be provided as an area that they can have their party, and if we can do it without it costing us $3,000, whether it's through the very generous gesture from the district manager to help facilitate that, or it's managed through staff on a Friday and a Monday, I just personally can't see the impact on anyone from that street being that cul-de-sac being closed.
Mr Mayor, one issue might be that depending on how robust the traffic management plan is, even though it's an event that's so close to a public road, whether that event ahead signage might, if we leave it up all weekend when the event finishes Friday night, is that an issue with the traffic management plan?
Good question, and I don't know the answer to it.
It all changes with if we close the whole corner or the whole block off, or whether it's just that cul-de-sac. Even if we close it and just have road closed signs there, do we have to have advance warning that there's an event? Which we did have to for the Bush Councils, but that was with that road being closed off.
Not just a cul-de-sac.
Through you, Mayor. Again, I believe that traffic.
Yes, that is correct.
To us or who?
The traffic management plan has been given to the president of the Rotary Club, which she has emailed to the acting CEO and myself.
So we have got a traffic management plan and we have to stick with that. That's approved. to start putting extra signs.
Sorry to interrupt, it's approved by who?
Well, so GBA would have done that. Yeah,
Are we the road authority?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
they will be qualified to design
they
it.
design it.
I would assume that we have the right to say whether it's acceptable or whether, if it's
Can't
if
we
it's an
just back
event
up?
or
Yeah.
an impact on
Yes.
our road, there needs to be, I would think there needs to be something in our system to say, yes, we accept that, or no, we don't.
Yeah, and I'm just close the road.
Mr. Mayor, as I said, I don't have the tickets, but I ask lots of questions. Highway is a traffic management plan, so this road, that is not a highway. It needs what they call a TSG, traffic. Yeah. Yeah, so it's completely, because it's not impacting coming off a main highway. I asked lots of questions to get answers that you need.
Right.
Through you, Mayor. There's two, we're talking about events, plan, traffic management plan, PGS, and there's two public people that can those signs out, qualified people that are qualified in the actual road, in the road management plan under the Act, and events management. And there's two types. So we have current road one that can install events management stuff, but the events management tickets cannot do roads. So, but go back to your question, taken in relation to when approved, it gets approved at that stage. We haven't got anyone in council that can say, yeah, we approve this or we don't. That's what it's.
What if we don't approve? Like, someone has to have the ability to say no. Like, I just saw it. Council may not agree to the request to close Beach Street, so it doesn't matter. You could have some traffic management guru in Adelaide design it. He's got the authority to design it, but he hasn't got the authority to close our roads. We have.
We can, through you, man, we, as a council, I believe that we can say no, but we haven't got anyone.
We can say yes.
Yeah.
How we live.
If we say yes, then.
What an absolute load of rubbish. I'll be making a joke.
I'm with you, Mr.
I don't mean that we're living rubbish to the officers. I understand you're advising me on the basis of law, but the law is absolute garbage. If it's saying that we can say no to something but not yes, I've never heard of anything more ridiculous in all my life. That is even more ridiculous than the OIA. That is next level.
Through you, man. If you have a qualified person on the council.
Oh, I detect that. So we're qualified enough to say no, but we're not qualified enough to say yes. Yes, Minister, somebody please film this and send it to the ABC. We've got 2021 version of Yes, Minister right here.
How are we putting all the signs up out here on this road? How are we putting all the signs up out here between Barking and Arrow?
How?
State control road, Mr. Mayor, so TMR would
So
have.
who's doing that? Who's doing it?
We would have qualified internal people to, so you've got to have one qualification to implement the traffic control devices. You're a separate qualification to design the traffic management plan,
Which TMR designs.
and a separate qualification to do a stop slow back.
But
They're all
if we
three are
just want-
independent, but
Those signs out there would not be too much different to putting a road closed down there near the newsagent and here at the roundabout.
With the qualification to do so.
So we've got no one at all that can put a road closed sign up here and there.
No, we can put the signs up. We just can't design where they go and how they go.
You have to have an approved plan, say where.
Well,
and
I
part of
could be into that. I could, if you're down at the end of the street from there, cul-de-sac.
And it wouldn't matter except we're coming off a highway. And we need to have those signs correctly
Or can you come,
placed on the highway. If a truck turned into that side street.
can you come back 20 or 30 yards?
So all I'm proposing is I'm aware of this offset of the TMR asset. I'm saying, well, look, sorry, Rotary, it's going to cost us $3,000. We're not closing Beach Street. We're just going to close the cul-de-sac. To throw that out, and why do we need a traffic management plan endorsed by anyone to just close the street? What if there was a bust?
Water car park, really.
That's right. What if there was a water main bust and we close? Who's got the authority to close the street for water main busts?
Pretty much we have.
Well, the water main's bust there on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and we're not fixing it until Monday. I don't care that I'm being recorded. This is farcical. We're trying to help a community group use an asset that no one needs at all. It's a car park in a cul-de-sac. It was obviously shut off many years ago. Got no approach to a state asset.
Beach Street go.
Yeah, for that bit. I'm saying just close it there.
Just don't want that.
That's, I'm understanding that they may just be grateful enough to take all we're offering. We're not going to, Council, am I right? We're going to spend $3,000 on shutting Beach Street for them. Councillor Peebles, yes or no?
So what's the cost there? That's the staff to do it, isn't it?
Yeah. They've paid for their plan. Are we going to, actually, sorry, it's $1,500. Are we going to approve $1,500 to close the street and open the street? As per the traffic management plan, which is Beach Street from the intersection of Oak to the roundabout, close the roundabout and the cul-de-sac. Are we going to agree to the $1,500 to do that? Right, Councillor Rogers?
I'm not in favour of doing $1,800 plus an extra $2,000
No.
donation.
Councillor Plum, Councillor Arthur?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Right, so that's gone. All on.
You pull them back there.
Well, I asked you first.
But
Right, so
if we're going to put signs up here, aren't they going to cost us $1,500 too?
I'm trying to find if there's a way that we can offer that area, because it's all we can give them, if it doesn't cost us $1,500. I can't. Are you telling me it's going to cost me $1,500 wherever we put the signs? Can't we just put them up and leave them up?
Mr. Mayor, like I said, I'm happy to volunteer.
I know, I'm hearing this.
I can't see why we can't close the actual car park. We're closing a street.
Technically, it's the end of
Car
our
park, you are
street.
not closing any streets.
Is it or not? Is that, yeah, it is. Is that Ash Street still? Is,
It's only a car park area.
there's a cul, they can turn around at the end.
We can still do it.
Oh, yeah, there's physically other places to turn around, but it is
We're not
actually a street.
closing any streets off.
All right, I'm fought the good fight too long. This much doesn't happen at council meetings ever again. This has derailed us now 3 times in a row. The officer's recommendation is for $2,000, and councillors, I'm thinking road closure now we're going to put to one side. It's just way too hard. We're not closing the road unless they find the money. We'll do it as per their traffic management plan. Generators. Are we prepared to include the tables, chairs, and provision of a generator for them on top of your $2,000? Or
You're also asking for staff to actually set up.
my recommendation would be that that is a no. That's what clubs are for.
Through you, Mayor, the generator is a bit of plant that needs particular or expert know-how. To people that have used that before, and I'm not sure whether they have used it, but not people that are comfortable with using that bit of plant. If anything should happen with that bit of plant, we haven't inducted them or we haven't had the appropriate people to show them how to use it.
Can we do that though?
Gee, Mr. Mayor, I'll respond to that. Yes, it is part of our planned hire system and they are inducted. So, yes.
Right.
The
So,
processes are, yeah.
so tables, chairs, and generators are going to come at $1,800, including bond. Is that right or not?
I think we set the precedence.
So I'm fine, someone just tell me what they want to do.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Gleeson.
We're going to go through this same discussion in another couple of months' time with the Tree of Knowledge Festival. If we want, is this all going to say we're going to go through the same discussion again?
In respect to which part of it?
I'm all for the council helping communities in any way at all within kind, like, tables and chairs and close the street. I don't know about the generators, and I certainly don't know about the $2,000 cash. And definitely no public liability. But, by all means, help with tables and chairs and signs and that, but, yeah.
Well, the only thing is we do in every community allocate money every year for a Christmas function, and that's what the district manager is suggesting is our allocation of Christmas function money. So we pay for the Christmas tree, for example, in Alpha gets how much done?
How much money towards it?
Yeah.
This year it's $500.
In the past it's,
There was drought funding.
Well, we do, community groups have free use of, but they have to.
so it's not going to be quite 1,800.
Excuse me, I have included delivery costs in there because I want to.
Ah, so that $1,827
Yeah.
is delivered?
And it does cover 2 generators, so, and as I said, one of those we'd have to get from another area.
All right.
So we take the generators money off it and they can put something in that.
Unless anybody adds to that, I need somebody to say does or does not agree.
Should we also, if we go that way, change the wording to street party?
There's no
We haven't
movement
got that
to it,
far.
so whoever moves it can change it to whatever they like.
I will, Mr Mayor. I think it's good that Rotary has restarted again. I think it might have been a little bit ambitious of them to ask for such a large request initially, but I'm happy to put forward that we $2,000 for a Christmas party.
Who agreed to a Christmas party?
The cash donation $2,000. I think was officers' intent.
I think Councillor Arthur would like to remove the word street between Christmas and party.
But I think there is, community groups need to realise how much trouble logistically, financially, insurance-wise there is with whether it's a street here. The closer it gets to that cap highway or that federal highway, the more trouble. A lot of the time it's not worth it.
I have a mover. Is there a seconder?
No.
Councillor Rogers. Debate. Councillor Peebles.
So, Mr Mayor, they've asked for tables and chairs, they're going to need tables and chairs too, aren't they?
Which they can have for free.
Yeah, we'll give them the tables and chairs.
I beg your pardon.
Put up and down the sawmills.
But they can have them now.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but there's a figure in here for them.
That's to deliver them. Isn't it?
That's the total all up with that's the higher fee. I just put it all on the table.
Through Mr Mayor, we're not, Dan, councillor Arthur, that motion is just only for the donation, isn't it?
Yes, the
We're not
community group
including anything else.
needs to organise
It's
volunteers.
only that donation.
If they want to give us back that $2,000 in the hire of the equipment or delivery, I guess that's fine, but that's up to them. But they need to motivate some volunteers to do a lot of that work.
Council's policy at this point in time is that if a community group wishes to hire equipment, they do so free of charge, provided they collect and return. So the motion doesn't preclude them from having free use of tables and chairs. It just says that they're not having it delivered if I read the resolution correctly. Councillor Peebles, are you suggesting an amendment that it does include that?
I think, Mr Mayor, that they haven't go here to put something on town for Christmas, I wouldn't mind the tables and chairs and one generator that we already own. That's right, Jenny?
Being
Previously,
delivered,
yes, there is one here, but
being delivered to site for them.
Yep.
I take it the mover's not going to accept that amendment, but you're moving it. Do you have a seconder to back your amendment?
Probably not.
I'll back it for the sake of the argument. Those in favour of the motion being amended to include tables, chairs and a generator to be delivered to site. Those in favour,
That's the amendment.
as the amendment be included to that.
Through you, Mr.
I'm not going to
Mayor.
go to debate on this, we've been on it way too long, we're either in favour or against.
Do you mean deliver the table and chairs as well?
Yes.
And the generator?
Someone's got to be in charge of the generator.
It's the case anyway, whether it's picked up or delivered. As the district managers advised before, there's an induction procedure that people who hire that equipment receive.
so what are we going to do about the signs? They can't have it in a separate sign.
What signs, sorry?
Road signs. What are we going to do about the cost of those? They need those.
Up to them to work that out. This motion doesn't incorporate anything to do with provision of road closures. They want that there.
And Mr. Mayor, there's a private traffic control company in town.
Could do it more. So Councillor Peoples has moved an amendment to the resolution that the tables, chairs and generator required be provided be supplied well, quite the right word, your motion, Councillor Peoples, you
In
Mr. Mayor, you're going so well.
In addition to the cash donation.
No,
be supplied to site.
to the site. To the site of the Christmas party.
Would have no charge.
Well, we're agreeing to provide the cash at no charge without using that, so I think that becomes part of it. Councillor Peoples has moved the amendment, I've seconded that motion to amend. Those in favour of that amendment being included in the original resolution? Those against? The motion is carried 5-2. The amendment is carried 5-2. The motion now reads, Council does agree to provide a cash donation of $2,000 and tables, chairs and one generator the Rotary Club of Buncool Incorporated to host the Christmas party. Wouldn't read correctly to include the remainder of the intent of the amendment. Now, that being the resolution, we go to debate on that. Those, I call for a speaker against that resolution.
Yeah, call for a new mover.
I don't, but he, as the mover, as the seconder does, has always got the prerogative to vote against their own resolution. What I was smiling about when I noted that vote 5-2.
Mr. Mayor, the only thing I have against giving any more than $2,000 is, I appreciate that Rotary are only recently reactivated, but it's quite late. And we do have a tendency in council of just doling out or being asked to find an additional $5,000 here and $10,000 there. And we do that 10, 12, 15 times in a budget year. And then that very quickly turns into $10,000 each, and that's $150,000. I think the $2,000 cash donation is quite reasonable. As you said, we are getting bogged down. I'm happy with it.
Speaker for the motion. Put the motion to the vote. Those in favour? Put the motion to the vote. Those in favour?
We're moving
That one.
tables and chairs and the generator, yep.
The two people.
Going to do that.
Those in favour? Against? Motion is carried 4-3. You didn't move. I'll recall the vote. No, it was 5. I know you intended to vote, but you didn't actually move, and not voting is a vote recorded in the negative council club. 5. 5. Both happy for the names to be recorded. Information report 391. Can I have somebody move Angela's report be accepted? Councillor Peoples, second up. Councillor Plum. Angela, after that little interlude, would you like to lead us through your report?
Through Mr. Mayor, we have the Bigger and Blacker shows this week in Muddabur and Aramac. Although we anticipate some people turning up at the door, our current attendee online nominations is 3 for Muddabur and 39 for Aramac. So I think it will be a good show. With regards to Australia Day community events, I will know this week about the Jericho event. We did have a community group interested in doing that, however they withdrew last week. So there's another community group that's having a meeting tonight, so I should know this week. Barcaldine event is still to be confirmed. That's it, unless anyone has some questions.
No Australia Day in Alpha.
That's the feedback that I've received from Mr. Mayor.
I've received the same, different advice.
Through Mr. Mayor, Angela, did Sandy Ford ring you about that?
Sandy doesn't know, is that to do with the Alpha?
It's to do with the Australia Day, she's interested, she rang me to find out whether anyone had known that and or if she didn't want them to miss out, and I just stopped ringing.
Friends there. The first community group contacted me, and the Jericho Tourist Association also contacted me. They said the Jericho Tourist Association said if no one puts forward expressions of interest, they would then take it to their meeting. So the first community group had said that they were interested, however they pulled out last week. So I've taken it back to the Jericho Tourist Association.
Angela, a decision made earlier to Borough's community consultation, both rural and urban, for tomorrow has been.
New date, Jack.
Oh, you were right. Sorry. CEO's just letting that hit. District manager and I made an executive call. Threat of rain has already got a few. So, right, further questions? Noticed good plugs last night for Australia Day by councillors Angela at community consultation. Some forms pushed out, so hopefully something comes there.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we have received 2 nominations today.
Wow, is that the earliest ever?
Normally I get a few at the beginning, but really deadline date is when they come through, yeah.
Question, who moved? You just, yes.
Mr Mayor, I was just going to say that last night at the community forum, I happened to be at the table with the Tree of Knowledge Festival, and there was vigorous debates about what needed and what's not needed and that, and I am sure that you're going to really have your hands full in trying to get it all up and running. I wish you all the best, and hopefully that we can help you out in some way.
No, it's going to take me weeks to pull together a conversation with Councillor Gleeson and I received that feedback.
Got it all in front of you.
Thanks.
You will get some help, I'm sure.
Okay, anything further?
We have a vote for that, Mayor.
Oh, those in favour of receiving Angela's report? 7-0. Questions on notice? Can I have somebody please move that we receive the report with the answers to the previous meeting? Gleeson, seconded Councillor Plum. Those in favour? 7-0. Answers there. Yeah, we have a question already added to the question to the notice paper from Councillor Gleeson with respect to wild dog baiting uptake in each of the 3 districts with a comparison to the same time last year. And if I could add to that request, so if we could get a summary of the number of properties that or landowners that baited and the volume of meat that we sold, please, as opposed, like, comparatively. Be a story in that.
Sorry, say that again, summary up.
The number of landowners that participated in the program comparatively and the volume of meat that we provided comparatively. Okay, go around the room. Deputy Mayor.
The shop last night, the community conversation she got. One other thing that she wanted to ask was whether the shop of opportunity erect a sign to say, please donate furniture, back to the shop of opportunity instead of, like, I don't know, the sign will say something like, don't dump this here, take it to the shop.
I guess what that probably comes under is can officers investigate the feasibility of a local recycling kit.
I think she wanted to.
Anyone? Councillor Clark?
Just a couple of things. The letter that we received with regards to the fence on the highway, we didn't really know whether it was a petition or a letter, but if the writer of that letter could be responded to. It's asking why he hasn't been responded to.
Anyone?
And Sean, is there any way of a Sunday or Monday morning that you give us some idea of your itinerary as to where you'll be ultimately during the week? A couple of people have come to me and asked me where would they find you, and I'd say I don't know. But yeah, it just gives us councillors some idea if we need to find you. I know your phone's fairly busy. We need to find you.
Debbie, have we had any foot traffic to the front door looking for me? They can always try the office. And if I'm not, then what I mean is council actually pays somebody to manage a diary for me.
Yeah.
But if they try ringing her or going and seeing her, then you can easily make an appointment. And
I get plenty of phone calls that I take appointments or messages.
councillors know.
But what I'd like to know more about your amendments as to where you're at, just in case.
I can't hear you, sorry, councillor Plum, you want to know where he is?
Yeah, just
Keep an eye on him. That's a good idea.
just move.
My mother and wife have a similar opinion at times. I just didn't think that I'd hear it from a councillor, but anyway. See what I can do to add to that.
Well, you started off, you were given that.
Well, that was always after where I've been and what I've done. If you'd like me to do one in advance, I can do that. We may even be able to find a way to share my itinerary calendar with you all, if that helps. Calendar and see where I am as well as where you are.
You've got to be honest. That's what.
I usually know where I am, so.
That's your business. Councillor Arthur.
Mr Mayor, with respect to the leasing for the community groups at the Parkland Showgrounds, have we had much take up with that response, or do we still have some outstanding,
We'll find out. And a similar question was asked last night before.
and does that apply to our other showgrounds?
Must have been asked on every table.
I didn't have it asked as me, but I did hear it. I walked along late and it asked at another table.
Mr. Mayor, the majority of people have some.
But do we also have,
I'm looking at the other district managers to take note of that, about other areas, any exclusively used areas.
there are probably less in our other towns, but I think Parkland makes the most.
The men's shed's probably the only one I'm thinking of. On Pottery Group. Alpha, any there, mate?
No, Mr Mayor. Showgrounds doesn't house anyone like
And other facilities in Munnabara do. Jericho,
That's in the mention.
the men's shed and the caravan park, but that's technically a separate area. Definitely do in Alpha though.
And I'm not hoping to, with the public liability thing is I think the onerous thing on the community groups. I think whether it's a $50 or $100 lease, I think that's a bargain. But it's the need for that $20 million public liability.
If the report comes back with, there are other groups in other towns like the two that we've just identified in Alpha. Do they pay their own PR, A, and B, what's their obligations around liability insurance?
Because it's my understanding, one of the bigger issues for a use over here is that we pay them out.
And I don't know who pays in Alpha, but I know they're separate connections. They've been put on at different times, but I don't know who actually gets the bill.
Sure, the mention in Alpha. Also, I'm not sure whether there's public liability through the mention organisation.
We'll give you a chance to find that out and report back to the next meeting. Yeah, Salah.
I don't have anything for there, but I'd like to make a comment on our forum last night. I was on the replay table and all that stuff was positive. Very response to us.
Right. But for the first time in about 3 years, I haven't been involved in it. So I'm pleased to hear that you will get a free kick now that it's done.
I'm right, thank you. We've answered mine, or asked my questions. Thank you.
Councillor Peters.
Good, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
It looks like we're finished. 8 minutes past 3.